Hi sweeties, how are you doing? Welcome to Nanyacim. If this is your first time of coming across this channel, sweetheart, kindly smash the subscribe button and turn on the notification so you get notified each time I upload. And please give this video a thumb up. I appreciate you all, and I want to say a very big thank you to every one of you for always coming back to watch my videos and subscribing. You all are the real MVP. So today we'll be talking about Governor DeSantis, how he embarrassed himself when talking about slavery and Black history. Man, I cannot wait to run this video so you all can see how he is busy embarrassing himself and the rest of it. With that being said, let's get into this video and come back to talk about it. And you know what? Let me know what you all think in the comment section.
It was the American Revolution that caused people to question slavery. No one had questioned it before we decided as Americans that we are endowed by our Creator with unalienable rights and that we are all created equal. Then that birthed abolition movements. So you can't teach history that's being used to pursue an ideological agenda.
Back with me, Van Jones, David Swerdlick, and Scott Jennings. Van.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I had the same reaction. Slavery didn't end, and technically, till 1865, 1776. That's almost a...
Well, first of all, you know, you reveal a lot when you're speaking about stuff you don't know anything about. So,
you know, that man is anti-Black, and it's obvious. If you look at him, you absolutely will know he was actually lying, and the way he was constantly or continuously blinking his eyes. Anyways, let's get into this, the stitches, and see what people are talking about this. So here we'll go.
It's been a while since we've talked about Christian nationalism, so let's talk about it. Hey, TikTok, put some heat on this one. So Ron DeSantis is a Christian nationalist who is using his influence as governor to push his biblical views on the state of Florida. He's also trying to rewrite history by infusing the white savior narrative in it. Watch this video, then we'll talk about it.
It was the American Revolution that caused people to question slavery. No one had questioned it before we decided as Americans that we are endowed by our Creator with unalienable rights and that we are all created equal. Then that birthed abolition movements. So you can't teach history that's being used to pursue an ideological agenda.
Back with me, Van Jones, David Swerdlick, and Scott Jennings. Van.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I had the same reaction. Slavery didn't end, and technically, till 1865, 1776. That's almost a...
Well, first of all, you know, you reveal a lot when you're speaking about stuff you don't know anything about.
This is the same DeSantis who said that Florida is the place where woke goes to die. Now let's make sure we are clear here, because an attack on wokeness is an attack on Black people. Pause and read. But wait, there's more. This theology professor wrote a book called Christianity and Wokeness. And in this book, he writes, in the simplest biblical terms, white skin is not our core problem, sin is. In the biblical mind, sin does not affect and inhabit one group more than the other. Do you see what he did there? He's deflecting away from all the problems that white supremacy cause and saying this is about sin. That is a typical evangelical Christian teaching where everything in our life is about sin, and that's a moving target, and guess who gets to define it? The church leaders. And DeSantis is not missing an opportunity to tie his power to Christian beliefs. This article says, while visiting a private Christian college, DeSantis said, quote, "Put on the full armor of God, stand firm against the left's schemes. You will face flaming arrows, but if you have the shield of faith, you will overcome them. And in Florida, we walk the line here. And I can tell you this, I've only begun to fight." Why is this important? First of all, any of us who are deconstructing need to understand that this kind of extremist thought inside evangelical Christianity that's entrenched in Christian nationalism needs to be called out. And to be honest with you, we need to look inward to see if there are any indoctrinated beliefs or unconscious bias that are still hanging on inside us. We must see the danger in Christian nationalism. We must stay awake, use our voice. We must work to elevate the human condition and work for the good of the whole. Go to au.org to learn how you can be involved.
You know, I gotta break it down to you. According to Governor Ron DeSantis, he is from Florida, state governor. He stated that it is that African American history is ideology. He also stated that the revolutionary is going to question the slavery. Yes, it is. Because you know why? Because during the American Revolutionary, black people was not known as black Americans. They were not even known as citizens. They were known as slaves. And they never told the story how the Haitians and many people from the Caribbean had helped them fight the American Revolutionary so that America could get their independence away from England. Okay? Slavery existed from during the time of the 1400s all the way to the 1800s. Okay? And during that time, America had the largest slavery period, where it came to the time that they came up something with the Civil War. Okay? What they were, and they was not fighting for slavery. It's because the Republicans, it was the South versus the North, and they didn't know what they were doing because they were just fighting and made no sense, just like how he doesn't make any sense now. Now, to all the people that graduated from Harvard, Princeton, Yale, and all these high Ivy League colleges, you know, from looking from this one who just graduated from Harvard, not just, but you could tell that behind the scenes that people are telling him what to do and what to say. Because even when he's trying to explain, he makes no sense. Once again, they don't want to reveal about slavery and black history because they want to put it underneath the bus because guess what? America owes us. They owe the descendants and the indigenous for many years ago, including Florida. Because do you know that Florida it took them a long time to get the people them to be free? Places in Mississippi, Alabama, and those places. And it was to the point that they had to basically force their hand and told them that the people them have to be let go and be free. Yes, ladies and gentlemen. You know, the question I want to know is, where's the NAACP? Because right now, he just discriminated black people to give them the rights to let people acknowledge about their history. We fought for this over 400 years. So now it's time for him to just be quiet, do his balancing checking, and come up with a different law that has something to do with all fellow Floridians and Americans. Because this is not it. And if you think you're going to get a vote from the black community based on what you said to become president, because he's trying to run to become president for 2024, I think you guys need to look at this. You know, because right now, he needs to be slapped with a lawsuit.
Okay, so this is like the first kind of video I've ever made of something like this, but I just thought it was really interesting because I was looking in the comments of the video that I just stitched of DeSantis basically making the claim that the revolution is why people started questioning slavery, and everyone in the comments are like, oh, he's trying to rewrite history, et cetera, et cetera. And I want to point out that, like, actually what he's doing is reflecting or mirroring a conversation that actually is happening with certain historians. And this is why historians who write in this way are problematic and should be held responsible for the things they say. So I'm a PhD student. I have a law degree. I'm currently getting my PhD in American Studies, and I'm reading for my comprehensive exams. And American Constitutional Democracy is on my list. And so I just read this book called Power and Liberty by Gordon Wood. And if you don't know Gordon Wood, he is one of the most famous revolutionary historians of our day. He's very old. He just came back on the scene for resisting the 1619 Project. And he just wrote this book in 2019, and kind of as a response. But I just wanted to let you know, like, this is not a public random person writing a book. This is a very accomplished historian. And on his chapter on slavery and constitutionalism, he says, despite this reluctant racial segregation and exclusion, and despite the often sluggish and uneven character of the abolition in the North, we should not lose sight of the immensity of what the revolution accomplished. For the first time in the slaveholding societies of the New World, the institution of slavery was constitutionally challenged and abolished in northern states. So this is a historian, a well-decorated historian, who's making the same claims that Governor DeSantis is making. And so when people are telling you that history departments, historians also need to have a reckoning with the way that they write history and what they do with history, it's not just because we want a woke history, it's because these positions, which are not nuanced at all and are not 100% accurate, have real life implications.
I was born in Miami, Florida, but I just have some questions for Run. Like, Run, we need you to come to the podium, because if you racist, just say that. That's all we want y'all to do. Just be honest so we know to stay away from y'all.
It was the American Revolution that caused people to question slavery. No one had questioned it before we decided as Americans that we are endowed by our Creator with unalienable rights and that we are all created equal. Then that birthed abolition movements. So you can't teach history that's being used to pursue an ideological agenda.
So basically what he's saying is that they don't want their kids to know what the fuck they were doing. They basically are protecting their children from the horrific things they have done to us. You can't erase history. It's too many books. Y'all put everything in books because y'all knew that we wasn't reading. But now, my people, all of us are reading. This is sad and this is very cruel. And for those that always say racism is over with, shut your ass up. It's still alive. They're literally coming back out. Like, full blown. And y'all asleep. Where the rights at?
With unalienable rights. And that we are all created equal.
What up, though? You know, leave it to shit-stained DeSantis to double down and make himself look like a bigger asshole than what he has done in the last week. He's going to quote Jefferson. You know, I know that Republicans are willfully ignorant, but this is literally counting and betting on that people don't know their history. Obviously, Republicans in Florida don't know shit about American history. If Jefferson truly thought that all men were created equal, not just white rich men, because that's who they were talking about, how come it took another 120 years to abolish slavery? Better yet, why did they have slavery to begin with? If all men are created equal, why is it okay to own somebody as property? Well, how about the 3/5 compromise, which was enacted after this, which literally states that African men with 3/5 of a man? Doesn't sound equal to me. Why did it take all the way to 1870 before former slaves or black men were granted the right to vote? Everything was so even Steven, how come the perpetuators of the Rosewood Massacre didn't get prosecuted? One of the many massacres perpetuated by white men who were never ever held accountable. And that happened in your shithole state. You know, I wonder if Jefferson gave Sally Hemings a choice. You know, the level of dishonesty that Republicans will go to in order to hide the many terrible things that their ancestors, or let's say our ancestors, perpetuated on indigenous people on this land will never ever cease to amaze me. You have the Sunday you deserve.
We are endowed by our Creator with unalienable rights, and that we are all created equal.
Ron, at the time that was written, Thomas Jefferson was having relations with a child that he owned. Sally Hemings, our first American president, spent the remainder of his life chasing down slaves that escaped. And what your ass is trying to say is in the 89 years between 1776 and 1865, shit was sweet for black folks here. This is why I call you Build-A-Bear Blockhead. This is exactly why the fuck I call you Build-A-Bear Blockhead. Because every time you open your fucking mouth, it's like watching one of my grandchildren that just learned how to walk shit in a bucket. Ooh, poop on the potty. You're a fucking idiot. You need American history more than anybody in this country. Shut up.
Okay, this last person actually correct me up. Now, actually, this man really needs CROT more than any other person. But the truth is that he knows what he is doing. He knows he is lying. It's absolutely obvious. He is lying. He does not want their generation, their work generations, to know what they did to Black Americans. And they are trying all they can to cover it up. But the truth is that there is different, like the difference is very clear. I mean, they probably think black people of today are like the black people of our ancestors, right? Not knowing that black Americans are big time awake. They have gone to schools. They are doing great. They are outspoken. They can read and write. They can assimilate. So they are so scared. They are absolutely very scared. That's why they are doing everything possible to cover up. Oh, sorry about that. They are doing everything possible to cover up all the evil things. But how do you want to rewrite history? How do you want to cover up history? How do you want to close history? How do you want to cover up somebody's culture or somebody's heritage? How do you want to cover up slavery, the things that people experience? It's almost impossible. It's almost impossible. Anyways, this is where I'm going to call it a day. Let me know what you all think in the comment section, because I want to read and also learn from you. See you all in my next video. Bye.